Good morning, everybody. We're happy to have you here on this town hall meeting. We're going to hear this morning from RLD and the New Mexico Real Estate Commission with updates. And then at the end, we'll have a little Q&A session. So we're very excited to have this opportunity to share with all of you what's going on, in the world of the Regulation and Licensing Department and the New Mexico Real Estate Commission. I would like to start by introducing the first speaker, the new president of the New Mexico Real Estate Commission, Alina Katanak. And Alina, take it away.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Alina Katanak. Prior to being the elected new chair, I served on the Real Estate Commission for the past couple of years. Currently, I am the president of sales and the qualifying broker for Las Campanas Realty, and which we service in and outside of that particular community. And I have 8 brokers currently in my office. I am going to be the chair of the application committee, the compliance committee, and the property management advisory committee. So if anybody'd like to participate in those, we'd be obviously welcoming participants. Our other 2 new commissioners, Vice Chair Earl Greer, I'm not sure if he made it today. He just briefly, background about him, obtained his broker license back in 1984. He currently owns Plaza Realty. He is a consultant who provides services to his clients. He was one of the initial appointees in the Home Inspector Board, and he's been instrumental in the promulgation of the rules for the board. He will also be the chair for the rules committee. And then we also have Secretary Kelly Fajardo. She obtained her associate's broker license in 2018, and she's a retired state legislator who represented Valencia County. Secretary Fajardo is going to be the chair for the application and the forms committee. Other than that, that's all I have.
Awesome. Thank you, Alina. Okay, we'll turn it over to Melissa, and she will introduce the Regulation and Licensing Department staff, and they will take it away. Back to you, Melissa.
Okay, good morning. My name is Melissa Salazar, and I serve as the Director of Boards and Commissions at the New Mexico Regulation and Licensing Department. Joining me today are my esteemed colleagues, Amanda Lewis. She is the Deputy Director overseeing the Professional Bureau, which includes the Real Estate Commission. Kathleen Roybal, she is the team manager responsible for the compliance team, which encompasses inspections and investigation. And Scott Latham, the Education Advisory Administrator for the Real Estate Commission. Unfortunately, Pamela Predica, the board administrator for the Real Estate Commission, was unable to join us today. It's our pleasure to be here with you today. We're honored to have the opportunity to join you and look forward to engaging in meaningful dialogue and collaboration. One of the issues I was asked to report on and follow up on was the Real Estate Recovery Fund. But before I do that, I would like for Kathleen Roybal to give you a little bit of an update of what's going on in the compliance world there, and then I'll ask Scott to give you a little bit of an update of what's going on in the Education Advisory Committee. Kathleen?
Good morning. Again, I'm Kathleen Roybal. I'm the Compliance and Investigations Manager for Boards and Commissions. I just wanted to provide a little update in regard to the cases that we're currently reviewing. We're actively investigating approximately 180 cases, which are in different stages of the investigation process. So we're working diligently to, get those numbers down and get some of these active cases resolved. Also, we are working with the commission on the implementation of the Property Management Committee. So we're looking forward to getting those inspections and audits moving. And last, I would just like for everyone to know that within boards and commissions, we are going to have a compliance supervisor position vacant in the near future. So if there's anybody within the profession that would be interested in applying for that position, it will be posted on the state personnel website in the near future. And that is all that I have to report.
Yes, my name is Scott Latham. I'm the real estate education administrator. I actually was licensed myself for 21 years in real estate. Currently, we just had our latest EAC meeting yesterday with one course that was on the agenda for that. We have been receiving quite a few one-time courses, which is what normally happens this time of year when you've got your associations trying to get ready for the NAR ethics and other associations that are getting ready to have their conventions or their conferences, trying to get some CEs for you, along with numerous new courses that are being offered. We have all of those available on our website. If you're having trouble finding those course approved lists or instructor approved lists, feel free to just send me an email and I will make sure to get copies of those to you. That's really all we've got reporting now. Just staying really busy trying to make sure we're giving you as many options as possible as far as continuing education goes.
Scott and Kathleen. If it's okay with you, David, we can go on into the report for the recovery fund, and then we can go into a Q&A.
Perfect. Sounds great.
Okay. During my budget presentation at the New Mexico Real Estate Commission regular meeting on November 18th, I noted a discrepancy in the reported balance of the Real Estate Recovery Fund. Upon immediate observation, it was evident that the figure appeared to be inaccurate, which prompted the need for an audit to determine the appropriate allocation of those funds. The audit and the subsequent analysis were conducted through a comprehensive review of the New Mexico State Auditor's reports covering fiscal years 2008 through 2024. Records preceding fiscal year 2008 were not accessible via the state auditor's website, which is why my analysis begins with that fiscal year. In addition, current licensing data from our NM Plus database system was incorporated to further support and validate the findings. The key findings of my analysis are as follows. A review of the New Mexico State Auditor's reports for fiscal years 2008 through 2024 indicates that the Real Estate Commission had not assessed the additional $30 fee required for both initial and renewal applications for the Real Estate Recovery Fund for at least a period preceding FY 2008. The proper assessment of this statutory $30 recovery fund fee was reinstated beginning in fiscal year 2023. In fiscal year 2010, House Bill 3 provided that the amount of $172,000 was to be transferred from the Real Estate Recovery Fund to the state's general fund. And in FY 2017, House Bill 311 provided that an additional $242,600 would be transferred from the Real Estate Recovery Fund to the general fund again. Fiscal year 2021 of the state auditor's report reflected a $150,000 transfer back into the Real Estate Recovery Fund. However, the purpose of this transfer and its origin remain unidentified. I was not able to determine why that $150,000 was put back into the recovery fund. For fiscal year 2024, a discrepancy was noted between the reported fund balance in the state auditor's report, as it reflects a balance of $122,284, where Administrative Services Division with the New Mexico Regulation Licensing Department reports a balance of $122,380.87, a small difference in the balance amount. During the period of fiscal years 2023 through 2025, it was also noted that expenditures totaling $58,392.60 were inadvertently charged to the Real Estate Recovery Fund to cover operational expenses of the Real Estate Commission. Although the Regulation and Licensing Department launched the new NM Plus licensing system for the Real Estate Commission on December 20th, 2023, the funding code associated with the Real Estate Recovery Fund was not properly integrated into the system. As a result, while the $30 recovery fund fee was being correctly assessed, the funds were incorrectly being deposited into the Real Estate Commission's fund rather than directly into the recovery fund. This coding error was identified and it has been corrected since as of April of 2025. My final determination is that as of May 19th, 2025, the Real Estate Recovery Fund should be reflecting a balance of $307,193.47. The Regulation and Licensing Department is actively working with the Department of Finance and Administration to determine the most appropriate course of action for restoring the fund to this projected balance. It's important to note that my audit concluded on May 19th, and the fiscal year for 2025 has since officially closed. An update will be provided at the August meeting for the Real Estate Commission. I think it's an August meeting, or whichever meeting, I'm sorry, I don't have the exact date that follows the July meeting, to include a reconciled fund balance as of the end of the fiscal year and a status of what our efforts have been in coordination with the Department of Finance and Administration to bring that fund balance to the correct amount that it should have. With that, we stand for questions.
Thank you, Melissa, and everyone who presented today. We took in some pre-submitted questions prior to the town hall, so I'm going to actually just put all of those in the chat, and then you all can address those, then we'll open it up to our attendees here today, okay? Perfect. There you go. And I can read them out if you'd preferred that, Melissa.
Sorry, I was having trouble getting them loaded.
No worries. So the first question that was submitted is, why is it so tedious to enter your continuing education for license renewal? To renew multiple licenses without the same continuing education, one must go through the tedious process from the start.
Amanda, do you want to address that one?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. Through the implementation of the online licensing system, we had built out the requirement for reporting continuing education a little bit different for each board, and it was primarily focused around what the rules ask for. Some of our boards ask for simply logging the continuing education, where some boards ask for copies to be actually submitted. I think as we have been growing and learning within the new licensing platform, we're understanding what works better, kind of where there's some kinks. I do know that it has been some serious conversation from Director Salazar to work on how continuing education is reported within the online system. So there may be some adjustments coming up. Right now, when we rolled out NM Plus, it was ask a test for continuing education and upload. Everybody seems to be audited 100% with Real Estate Commission. All renewals go on hold and we review the CEs uploaded. So it is a bit tedious at the moment. We are most certainly looking for a way for our constituents and our licensees to be able to log their CEs, and if selected for audit, upload the corresponding CEs with their logs. So it's an area that we're looking how we can make things easier. It's a little bit of a growing pain from getting into the new system. So hopefully we'll have some release coming soon as we can design a better process for these CEs.
Thank you, Amanda. And we are getting some feedback on your mic, so just for your awareness there. Moving on to the next comment that was submitted. Getting credit for attending a commission meeting has been a struggle. Getting the certificate, please make that easier or drop the requirement. So more of a comment unless anyone wants to, address that in any way.
I can address that real quick. I'm sorry that it seems like it takes a while to get that certificate, but we rely on, once we receive the list of who attended the meeting, we then have to see who registered for that meeting. Then we also need to make sure that your cameras were on for the entirety of the meeting and that you were there from the beginning of the meeting. The same kind of thing that would happen if you were taking a Zoom class. we have to make sure all those are met before we can do that. And then there's only myself that issues those certificates. So it has been taking from the time I get the lists of who attended anywhere from 3 to 5 business days, and sometimes longer, just because we don't necessarily get that list. I do apologize, and we are working on trying to streamline that, but it is, like I said, just one individual taking care of all that for all the attendees. And we, like I said, are working on it and trying to make it a better situation, but at this time, that's the best we've got.
Can you clarify where that list comes from?
That list, when the meetings are at GAR, the list does come from GAR. And then there's been a couple meetings that are in-house that we get that list ourselves, but it's a lot of times we'll have upwards of 200 attendees. So there's a lot that I have to go through in order to make sure who's eligible for it. So it is time consuming no matter where the list comes from.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Moving on to the next one. What is RLD's process for appointing or removing board and commission members, and how does it ensure compliance with open meetings laws and ethical governance?
I'll take that one. So RLD is not involved in the appointing or the removing of board members. That appointing power comes from the governor's office. They make all the appointments and they make the decisions to remove members. And I will just state that as a reminder, all members do serve at the pleasure of the governor.
Okay, moving on to the next one. What metrics does RLD use to evaluate whether its current staffing model is meeting the statutory mandates and public protection responsibilities of each board or commission?
Amanda and Kathleen, you want to chime in on that?
Chime in. I'm sorry that we're getting feedback from my mic. I'm trying to fix it. So if it's unbearing or something horrible on the other end, please just somebody mute me so you guys don't have to suffer through that. I apologize. I think that's a bit of a question and kind of narrow it down. Metrics does RLD use to evaluate whether its current staffing model is meeting statutory mandates? I guess I would ask for follow-up. I'm not sure what statutory mandates they're referring to. If it's like the amount of time we process applications, or to the level of which complaints might be reviewed and investigated. I think that question could kind of go different ways. So it's a really broad question to provide an answer. However, we internally, boards and commissions, utilizes our own performance measures. We definitely look at turnaround timeframes for initial licenses. We talk to the effect of from when an application is submitted, how long does it take to be reviewed and officially approved when needed. But we most definitely ensure that we have appropriate number of staff to process those number of applications that come in. Kathleen, I'm not sure if there's anything you want to speak to regarding statutory mandates if we're referring to compliance and inspection cases. I think that question is very broad, and if whoever submitted that question maybe wants to add a little bit more clarity in the chat, I can revisit it. But essentially what our job is to ensure there's enough staff to process the work that comes in, whether it be initial applications, renewal, or to address the complaints. And we have more than adequate staff to do so. We measure that by each individual's desktop workload and things of that nature. So maybe just a little bit more clarification on that question, and I can get you a more answer of what the asker is looking for.
Thank you, Amanda. And Amanda, I'm sure you have a lot of great insight and very valuable information for us and all our members. Unfortunately, we're getting a lot of feedback in the chat that it's very hard still with your mic to understand you. So I'm really sorry about that. I'm going to look into turning on a closed caption function here, but maybe just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Can you guys hear me now a little better, perhaps?
It's kind of just a little garbled sounding, I think.
Any bit now?
Amanda, maybe you can come to my office.
Okay, I can most definitely try that.
Awesome. Okay, while we're doing that, we'll move on to the next question. And we did turn on the closed captioning on our end, so you should see that at the bottom of your screen, or you might need to enable on your end. But the next pre-submitted is, will RLD commit to publishing public-facing reports on meeting participation, commissioner appointments, and procedural timelines for transparency?
Okay, that question, I'm not exactly sure what we're looking for there. All of our commissioner appointments are on our website. Procedural timelines for transparency, I'm not sure what timelines we're talking about there. I need more information on that request. Facing reports on meeting participation, are we talking about minutes? What is it that they think that we're not reporting, I guess is my question. I'm happy to provide any feedback and answers, but I'm not exactly sure what we're looking for here.
Thank you, Melissa. So whoever submitted that question, if you want to add some more context to the chat, you could definitely do that, and maybe we could help address that question. But let's move on to the next one. Next question is, why hasn't NM RLD put the votes made by the Real Estate Commission into action?
Okay, I can fill that one as well. Some of the votes that and motions that were voted upon in the recent meetings of the commission have not been put into action because many of the actions that they're asking us to take have a monetary factor to them. And as I had said in my budget report in November, that the budget, the department works on the budget for the following fiscal year early on in the year. For example, we've already worked on the budget for fiscal year 2027. And in order for these requests that have a monetary need attached to them, they need an appropriation to carry them out. In order to do that, it needs to be included in our request for that, for the following budget year. And if it's not included in what their operating budget is, we can't exceed what's appropriated for us to operate with for that year. And that is why an immediate action has not been taken on those requests. There's a process that we need to follow to obtain an appropriation to carry that out.
Thank you, Melissa. Next question, I'm going to reword a little bit, and I'm going to say, let's see, does NMRLD provide any training for their staff or have any SOPs for their job duties?
So yes, we do provide training for our staff. I think this question is more targeted at the compliance unit with related to the Real Estate Commission. I can tell you that we do have in-house training, and we are currently looking at outside training. We are looking at training our staff through the RLD program. We are also working with John Gilliam to try to come up with a course for, I believe it's a 5-day course that we would break up into two periods of time that would instruct our staff, our investigative staff, on the real estate, give them what they need to be able to conduct a thorough investigation, the background that they need to understand what's in a contract, what else is involved when evaluating a complaint, and what actually that investigation would entail. I do believe that in my last conversation with John Gilliam, we decided that we would cover not only how that investigation affects the Real Estate Commission, but how it also affects the real estate appraiser part and the home inspector's part, and how they're all tied together in one way or another. So while we do have our in-house training, we are looking to expand that to outside to obtain a broader, more concise understanding of how the Real Estate Commission world works. Kathleen, do you want to chime in on that?
The only other thing that I would have to add is that we recently went through an extensive investigative training through CLEAR, where all our investigators have gotten the CLEAR certification as well. So that was the beginning steps on obtaining as much training as possible. So we look forward to getting additional training and really understanding the ins and outs of real estate commission.
Awesome. Thank you both. So the next one is if NM RLD does not respect or follow any of the actions of the Real Estate Commission, why don't they just make them an advisory board?
I'm not really sure how to answer that question. The option to make the NMR, the Real Estate Commission and Advisory Board is not our decision to make. That would take legislative action to do that. So I'm not really sure that there's an answer for that. That would have to come from the legislature.
Thank you, Melissa. Moving on to the next one. Why is the RLD website nearly impossible to get or submit information on? And there are some examples there.
That's interesting. Scott and I just had that conversation. Scott, you want to take that one?
As far as the setup of the website, I cannot answer that question. I do agree there are places to find some of the information that you're looking for. As far as education stuff, it is kind of hidden in there, and it'd be nice to be able to talk to the web designers and try to get that where it's upfront and easier to find. But as I mentioned earlier, as far as any of those lists go dealing with education, you can always feel free to send me an email. I've got them on my desktop and can get them right out to you. As far as the rest of the website and managing through that, I have no access to the website and cannot answer those questions for you at this time.
I'll just add to that, we are open to any feedback. Each board's web page is designed and set in the same format. And I would say that if there's an area where you or the majority is consistently having a hard time trying to locate or find information, I would say send me an email and I can see what I can do to make that easier for you. But as of right now, all of our web pages are set up the same way.
Awesome. Thank you both. And I do see Amanda raise her hand. Amanda?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, yay. Okay. So excited. Okay. I just wanted to add a bit of what Melissa, Kathleen, Scott have all added into RLD's support of the commission. I think a big piece, and I want to give a huge kudos to President Katnack, is in her short term in agreeing to serve as president of the commission, she has reached out to work with RLD so we have a mutual understanding of what our parameters are.
I think we lost you, Amanda. Okay. Let's move on to the next one, and we'll see if Amanda gets her audio figured out. The next question is, why has RLD decided that full-time investigators trained in real estate are not necessary to protect the public? Soliciting for volunteers to do the job is a farce.
As we have discussed multiple times with the previous chair and in one of the meetings, the Real Estate Commission is administratively attached to RLD. Kevin Graham provided a presentation on this. Let's see how else can I address this?
I can finish with my thought. I said I give up on Zoom in my office. I came next door to Melissa's. I apologize, you guys. To finish just my thought was, I think one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle that was missing was the willingness for, Miss President Katnack reached out to RLD and wanted to sit down and understand exactly what was RLD's purpose in the administrative attachment, what are we able to do, and how can we support the commission to move forward with various things they want to get done in the industry. So that has really been helpful. It has helped with our compliance and inspection team understanding what we need from reappointing committee members, which had previously been removed. These are all tools that we're adding to our tool belt so we can continue to move forward and support the commission in what they need within the parameters of what our statutory guidelines give us.
And then back to the question regarding why RLD has decided that full-time investigators trained in real estate are not necessary. That is not what the RLD has decided. The RLD, as I said, is administrative. I mean, the Real Estate Commission is administrative attached to RLD, which means that RLD hires the personnel to fill these positions and complete the tasks that are needed. As we have said over and over again, it was the luck of the Real Estate Commission that they had 2 prior members who had real estate experience that were their private investigators. We have no control when those employees decide that they are going to retire. All of these positions that are available at NM RLD are posted on the New Mexico SPO website. They do say exactly what we are looking for. Unfortunately, we have not had anybody from the real estate community that applies for these positions. So while it may appear that we have made that determination that they are not needed or wanted, that is totally incorrect and not a proper assessment. If you go back and you listen to the meeting that explains administratively attached, and where it was addressed about investigators for Real Estate Commission, it was also discussed that those investigators that were here before did not only work for Real Estate Commission, they also conducted investigations for home inspectors, real estate appraisers, and accountancy. So that is also a misconception that those investigators only worked for the Real Estate Commission. Do you have anything to add to that? No, I think I'm trying to make that point clear, but I covered it.
And in addition, we can also add that as a next step beyond this town hall, the RLD staff have committed to joining us at our conference in Ruidoso and Mescalero, New Mexico for the NMAR annual conference in August. So there will be a live presentation there where we'll continue to discuss the issues and address some other areas as well. So we invite you to register if you have not registered already. We have some great things on the program there. But in addition, we'll have a breakfast where we'll have another update from the Regulation and Licensing Department and the Real Estate Commission. But with that, I think I could probably move on to the next question, and it's the last that was pre-submitted. And it is, what is the budget for the New Mexico Real Estate Commission, and why has the commission been stonewalled for years when asking for one?
I cannot speak to who was here before me. I can't answer that question. I was not here prior to that. When the commission did ask for a budget presentation, I did provide one in November, and I did commit to providing one twice a year to the commission. The commission did ask for one at every meeting, and that's just not possible to do. We oversee 28 other boards, and they all have meetings just like the Real Estate Commission. It wouldn't be feasible. I would be spending all my time doing nothing but budget presentations. So, like I said, I can't speak to any. I can't speak for my predecessors.
Okay. Thank you, Melissa. So with that, that comes to the conclusion of our pre-submitted questions. I will open it up to all of our attendees here live. If anyone has a question they'd like to ask the staff or any of the commissioners, please feel free to raise your hand and we'll take them one at a time.
And just a quick thought here, David and everyone else. I know that Amanda had answered one of the first questions early on in the presentation, and we weren't able to hear her answer. It might be helpful to revisit that question and just have her, sorry to make you ask you to repeat yourself, Amanda, but I just feel like you probably had some great information to share, and our attendees were very eager to hear your answer, and just the tech gods weren't smiling at us at that moment. So David, do you remember exactly which question, or Amanda, perhaps you do, but there were some requests to revisit that answer once more. Again, sorry to ask you to repeat.
Education? Was it the question about the tedious upload of the continuing education?
It was the first one you answered, so was that the one?
I believe so. That was the first question.
And
I believe that.
Oh, and sorry to interrupt you, but I don't know if you're able to come a little closer to the mic, and that way we just get you. Poor Amanda, we're putting her through the runaround, getting her all her steps in this morning, and thank you so much, Amanda. We really appreciate
Thank you guys. I'm so sorry. Normally I am not this bad at technology, I promise. Zoom is new for me. So I apologize. Sure. So the question that came in, I think was the first one, why is it so tedious to enter your continuing education for license renewal? The requester is just acknowledging if they have multiple licenses, but the same continuing education, one must go through the tedious process multiple times, I'm assuming is how they meant to finish that. In the initial build and the thought process of NM Plus, the system was built according to how each profession rules read regarding continuing education. So some of our professions say all you have to do is attest that you've completed the CEs. Some of our boards say you have to log them. Some of our boards say you have to submit the CEs. So the original thought and building was, what do the rules say for this board? If the rules say you need to produce the CEs, that's exactly what you're asked to do, is produce your number of CEs. One thing that we have learned, and this has been the best part of seeing the fruits and the joys of our NM Plus development, what works, right? Like, we've been in this system now for about 2 years, almost 3. Some boards have gone through multiple renewal cycles. We have taken the feedback. How can we make the uploads and the renewals and the auditing a little bit easier? Not only for the constituents, which we understand is a lot, but for staff as well. They're manually reviewing and counting CE credits for every licensee. So we're looking at how can we adjust that. One thing that I did mention is it has been an initiative of Director Salazar to work on a uniform way for CE reporting, where maybe the licensees would log their CEs in their courses, and if selected for audit, an upload function would become available where they would have to upload what they have already attested to having completed. So we're in the period where we are learning what was built, what is working, what is not working. And I would venture to say we're going to be looking at some possible changes with how CEs are uploaded in the near future. It was more so for us, we wanted to get live, get in the system, hear the feedback from the constituents, and then make the necessary adjustments. So I do appreciate the question. I understand it is tedious. This is exactly what we need to hear and understand so we can work forward on making things a little bit less tedious. The alternative was people were having to mail in their CEs, right? So we've reduced paper, we've reduced postage, the need for filing. Everything is submitted electronically. So tedious, well, typing, sure, but it has been so nice to be able to review instantaneously what a constituent can upload on the end of the portal without having to wait 10, 15 days to get the actual document in hand. So we're working at it, and I appreciate the question. And without a doubt, I would imagine there might be some changes in the near future. Amanda, do you mind addressing the part of the question that asks to renew multiple licenses with the same education? Why do they have to go through this?
Sure. Each license is treated differently, right? So if you have multiple, I'm assuming, is this question saying like I have multiple QB licenses or I have a QB? I'm not sure what it's asking. If you hold multiple licenses, each renewal is treated separately. So you have to show proof of your continuing education for each license that you hold. Maybe the requester is saying I had to enter my
number of CEs already once, can't I just say you can use those same ones for multiple? I'm not sure, but the system isn't going to recognize each license has its own fee tied to it, its own continuing education, so we treat each license individually. I think that's a point of what the requester's asking. If I missed it and if they want to add something in chat, I'd be happy to address it.
Thank you. Thank you again for readdressing that and
Yeah.
circling back.
Absolutely. And I guess back to the staff, is there anything else that RLD or the Real Estate Commission is working on that you'd like to inform our brokers about that are on the call? Any new exciting developments that y'all are working on that maybe not everyone knows?
I think that we're really excited that at the last meeting, President Katnack, I was going to call her chair, incorrect title. She did start making appointments to the different committees that are involved with the Real Estate Commission. And I know that, especially for compliance, and Kathleen can chime in here, I know that for them, they were excited that we will have a compliance committee put back into place. They are working on the property management.
Yes.
It's like committee. And then we're looking forward to making some progress on changing rules that have been in place for a very long time that probably need some readdressing and being brought up to current times, current standards. So we are very excited to be working with the commission in those areas to try to make some progress to become more modernized, I guess, is what it would be. And I understand from President Katnack that she has had several people interested in sitting and assisting with those committees. President Katnack, do you want to elaborate on that?
Hi, thanks. Well, I think, again, when we talked about it last week, being transparent and opening the doors for the committees, I have had people reach out and send their applications in for people that have interest. Again, we're looking for seasoned brokers, not that we don't appreciate the newbies coming in, but, people that have been here for a long time that can speak to the involvement of how real estate has come a long way and be able just to help participate in just the various committees. So we have the door open. We do have at least, 3 people sitting on each of the committees right now, from what I'm looking at as far as reading, which is really great. We could always use more, obviously. So that's where we're at. The goal is to be transparent and be cooperative with RLD and the staff and better understand, where our boundaries lie. Obviously, I'm not here to make great change. I'm just here to try to get us all back on the same page and get us all caught up. I mean, because we're so behind right now.
President Katnack, you said that we have 3 committee members on each committee. I think the clarification is that we have appointed 1 chair to each committee at this time, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
And so I guess follow-up question on the committees, how would someone on this call express interest in serving on one of those committees?
I can answer that. I believe our Senior Board Administrator, Pamela Perdica, she did send out a mass email to the emails that we have on file for our licensees, a letter of interest, a resume, letter of interest to the board email, the Real Estate Commission email, just simply saying, here's my name, my experience, I'm interested in serving on this committee, whatever it may be. And all of those letters of interest will be provided to President Katnack for review and then a formal appointment to the committee. I think she had sent out the message with an expert like within a week or 2, and I can try to pull up the email that was sent out and send it y'all's way just for reference, but there was communication and mass communication sent out to the industry.
Perfect.
I want to say the deadline was this last week, but obviously we're open to any participation. So don't don't be, do not want to participate just because of that deadline.
Perfect. Let me go through the chat and see if we have any other questions that were placed here.
I do see a question from Mr. McCoy. He is looking for information on a definition of clear training. So Kathleen, I don't know if you're able to jump in, but if you want to provide what CLEAR stands for and just briefly the outline of what training the investigators receive for their certification.
Sure. So CLEAR is the Council on Licensure and Enforcement and Regulation, and it's a national certification program for investigator and inspectors.
Can you give them an idea of what kind of training you received there?
Sure. So we, the training that we received was in line with the Real Estate Commission's rules and statutes in regard to our role as investigators, different processes and the legal outlines that are set forth, what, we should include in our investigative reports. It was a week-long program, and we started with the basic program and we're looking forward to the advanced program. So again, the program that we've already completed was in line with everything that's already enrolled for the compliance with or for the Real Estate Commission.
So Kathleen, the CLEAR training that you attended is specific to New Mexico?
It is not. It's it's for the national oversight, so it wasn't specific to New Mexico. And I think we're looking forward to maybe getting the training from I apologize, I forgot what his name was. That's going to do the training specific for New Mexico.
Perfect. Another question here. Is there a reason why the qualifying broker's name is not on an associate broker's license on RLD license search on their website?
The reason is we haven't been able to link on the back end. It is a question that has come in. We are aware and working on it. The license, the QB's name is printed on the AB when the actual license is printed and mailed out. I believe what this question is asking is on the license search, if the QB's name can appear. So it is something we're aware of. We've done a few tests and it's spotty on how we're getting that information to pull through without pulling full information for the QB's personal information. So we're working on it. I know it was an ask since the beginning of the deployment and the build out. Hopefully we'll have some updates and some enhancements to the system here soon.
Awesome, thank you. And a couple more questions in the chat, and I do see we have a couple people with their hands raised. But let's see, Mandy Kohler says, I think it's important that the documents that are asked for in the renewal/new licensing application have the same name. It is confusing, namely the universal form. It is called something else when you are going through the app process. Also, to know why our information on our licensing on the website is no longer available without paying for it. And it takes a while to get it as it has been sent through snail mail.
I'm happy to jump in with those questions. The first part of the question from Andy, universal form, that is correct. I think online it is called something else, and I want to say it's like a transfer application, if I can recall correctly. We have had some new appointments within the commission. It was my understanding some previous members of the commission were working on forms and updating forms. Unfortunately, I didn't get a copy of the forms that were being updated to include the title or any other information that was pertinent with the universal form. So as mentioned earlier, President Katnack really hit the ground running, wanting to get these committees back in place so they can continue to work on the work that had been left not completed. So the title and the form itself will be updated. That's a fairly simple update as soon as we get the commission's overall approval that we're asking the right things on the universal form. The name will reflect universal form within the online licensing platform, and the form may be updated just to add. So that is something we are proactively working on. The second part of that question that states, I would like to know why our information on the licensing portal website is no longer available without paying for it. I'm not familiar with this as the one really good thing that most people have been super grateful for with this online licensing system is verification of licensures no longer cost.
Before there was like a $10 or $25 fee when you needed to verify your license. So an official verification is free on the website. A license search has always been free. There's no charge to that. The only thing that has a charge to it is when an individual is requesting a list of licensees, and generally they use that for like continuing education or reach out purposes, but that is a requester paying for data that's coming from a database. That's a standard cost. So Mandy, if I'm missing something, please let me know. But to simply verify your license and to get an official verification of licensure, both of those items are free. They do not require any payment. And then it takes a while because it comes through snail mail. I'm not sure if she's talking about the verification or the list request, but within our online licensing portal, there is a drop-down option that you can request the official verification be mailed, and then you enter the address where it needs to go, or you can simply request that it be emailed. There's multiple options. So if you're looking for something a little bit quicker, I would definitely suggest using the email function. If you are needing an official piece of paper, the snail mail, I don't have much control over the U.S. Postal Services, but we tend to process those requests, within the week that they come in.
Thank you. Next question. Do we have access to the budget? And to be clear, is it the goal to hire investigators who have real estate experience or not?
The question regarding do you have access to the budget? I'm not sure how to answer that. When I provide a budget report, I think that's my understanding that that's how the budget has always been presented to the commission. I could be totally wrong. I'm not sure. But that's it's not like we don't post it anywhere. It's not on any website. It's through our ASD department. So I'm not really sure where we're going with that question. As to the hiring of investigators with real estate experience, well, of course, that would be our priority, to hire an investigator with that experience. Again, because we have to go through SPO to hire our personnel. We put the ask out there, people apply, they're certified through SPO, and that list is provided to us. We don't have any control over who applies for those positions. Our only control is who applies, who actually gets certified, put on a list that is sent to us that are qualified to be interviewed. Do you want to add anything else to that?
No, Director Salazar has covered it. I think with our previous postings, we have made it known, previous commission members or previous presidents of the commission have asked specifically for the links when these jobs post, because perhaps they have a broader range of audience who they may know. We're happy to share that. As Kathleen mentioned earlier in this meeting, we do have a position that is coming available that will provide oversight in investigations and compliance to real estate commission. So the best we can do is notify this lovely group and this audience here, because this is where we would go to say, is anyone interested in these state government jobs that will be providing investigative and compliance support to real estate commission, along with the other boards that we provide services.
From the NMAR perspective on that, thank you for providing that. Please share the posting with us, and we're happy to share that out to our membership. And, if they know anyone that might be a good fit, we'd be happy to share that out to get it out to the real estate and realtor community. Moving on to the next question, I can take this one. So the question is, where can others view this recording after the town hall? So we are currently recording this. It'll be posted to the NMAR website, and we will share it out with everyone who is registered, and then more largely after that to our membership if anyone wants to watch. But you can always send me an email. I'm happy to provide that once we have it completed. Next question. I have a license in another state, and the instructors that provide education CEs are required to upload the certificates to the state licensing board within a short period of time, so all the education comes up automatically when reviewing your license. It's an easy and user-friendly system. Is there a way we can adopt that procedure for our licensees.
So here we're saying in another state, the instructor uploads the CEs for the students who complete their course. Is that what the ask is? And if we can model something like that, back to mention or to talk about what Director Salazar said earlier, we have been talking with Scott on how to make our courses and classes available on instructors more accessible. Two, maybe the second part of this is allowing the approved instructors or the courses an area where they would upload the certificates of completion for the students that attended their courses. I'm not sure how that would reciprocate over with the individual when they get online to renew their license, but perhaps, providing some type of like a continuing education certificate log saying I complete all these courses and you can verify them here might be it. But these are good questions that are helpful for us to look at how do we manage the continuing education better. So well taken. I know one thing Scott is looking at is how our continuing education courses, instructors, sponsors, how are they managed on other states' websites? So we can try to mirror something that has been proven user friendly. So I appreciate the question, Caroline. It's definitely something we're looking at as well.
Perfect.
I just want to add to that, as Scott mentioned earlier, he is the one person who deals with the education piece of this. Now we do have 2 licensing.
We have, I think there's
4 licensing personnel in Albuquerque who license all of the boards down there. Okay, so when I say all of the boards, I'm talking about real estate accountants, home inspectors, and appraisers.
Real estate appraisers and
interior design. So I'm not sure that to be totally realistic, I'm not sure that we would have the personnel that would be able to take that on at this time. We would really have to look at what would it take for to be able to allow that to happen. I mean, do we actually have the manpower that would be able to handle instructors providing these CEs to our office, and our office actually getting those uploaded to everybody's individual profiles? Because at this point, that's what it takes. You have to upload your CEs to your individual profiles. So I'm not really sure that even if we were able to accommodate that request in terms of our software being able to do it, if we would have the manpower to effectively carry it out. That would be something else that we'd have to look at in addition.
Thank you. I'm going to take, I know we're beyond 11 a.m. now, so I'm going to take the last 2 questions from the chat and then I'll open it up to Paul because I see his hand has been up. But are there any plans to expand on instructor support?
What does that mean? Instructor support from RLD? I don't know what that means.
Are we talking about CEs? What are we talking about here?
Let's see. Emery, are you available to expand on your question?
I'm happy to. I'm looking for IDWs, better communication. Actually finding the instructor list on the website is a big one. But the big one is communication for instructors, planning IDWs, things of that nature.
So Emery, I can't answer those questions. Last year, Richard Gallegos got a instructor development course that's an on-demand course approved by the commission. If you want me to email that link to you, I'd be more than happy to. Currently, that's the only one that has been submitted, or if anyone else is talking about putting together IDWs, they haven't come to me, so I have not heard of that. As far as the instructor list, like I said, it is It may be hard to find, but we should be on the website. But I will also gladly email you a copy of that instructor list. And I'm sorry, was there any other parts of that you were needing clarification on?
No, that's most of it, and I'll email you more later so I don't take up time.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Last question that we're going to take from the chat, and it's a great one. What does RL need from us to help make things better? And I think it's a great question because, the New Mexico Association of Realtors and our 13 local associations across the state are more than happy to help. So from your all's perspective, what do you need from us to help make things better and to be helpful?
I'm happy to. I feel like I'm talking too much and I don't want to. Now that I'm in a place where the mic works, you guys aren't going to get enough of me. So sorry about that. But I think I'll speak for myself. We oversee the Professional Licensing Bureau. Real Estate Commission is one of the, I think, 14 boards that are within my team. What I find most helpful is feedback, honestly. I want to say I saw Barb's comment and it says, I just renewed my license. It was amazingly easy. I have multiple licenses. Christina is so helpful. Thank you for that. I am happy to hear when the system is easy. I'm happy to hear your experience was good, but equally important, I want to know when it's bad. I want to know when something didn't work right. We do find trends in our online platform that don't just affect Real Estate Commission, but sometimes resetting your password, clicking the button too many times throws you out for 24 hours. That is frustrating. We go back to our IT team and says, can we get something that doesn't kick you out for 24 hours? I mean, people are on deadlines. Really, the most helpful thing that I can say is feedback. I am open to hearing the good, the bad, the ugly. With that being said, patience and grace. We are all here. The online platform has been a big adjustment for all of our licensing staff. I know we were partially online before in our old systems. Sometimes renewals were available online. Initial licensing was paper. We have had to transition the way we work our office, we work our staff, the way we assign cases. There's been huge growing pains over the past 3 years. And I do see the benefits. I do see how it is helping manage our office, but equally show up to the Real Estate Commission meetings, be here for the feedback. Like I said, the good, the bad, and be patient with us as we work through it. It is our job to show progress. When we hear, the complaints, it is our job to help communicate what is within our realm. We are the regulatory authority. I do think in my short period of time working with the Real Estate Commission, I think the lines sometimes are blurred. The community looks at us as almost like the association. They want some support, like an association would give this profession. But
Oh. It looks like we lost Melissa and Amanda. Looks like video paused on our end.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well.
Okay, so we'll give a second to see if they come back on, but I did want to ask for the RLD staff if they'd be willing to put their contact information in the chat box so anyone that's on the call can send them emails, and then we will also share that out afterward. So if y'all could add that there, and it does look like they're still frozen on my end. So let's see.
Paul, thank you again for your patience. I know it's an emoji hand, but I feel like your hand must be tired anyway.
Problem, no problem.
Go ahead, Paul. Let's turn it over to you.
Well, I was hoping that they'd be back on, and I apologize. I had another meeting, and so I logged in a little bit late, so I might have missed some important information that probably answers my question. But my question is in reference to the New Mexico RLD. I just think that maybe the impression I get, and I'll tell you why, the impression I get is that they're probably handling a lot of business, and it seems like the real estate version of what they handle is probably not getting as much attention as it should, as big as it is. And the reason why I say that is, you know, those of us that have licenses in multiple states, that's a lot to keep things going and a lot to keep money coming in. And if you're, say, trying to complete your continual education on a renewal or something, I think there should be more empathy on that. Not that anyone's going to get a free ride, but to say that, no, okay, the classes, you're 2 days late or something like that, we're going to triple charge you. I just think that that's counterproductive. I think that um, like any person, entity that runs a business, there's certain things that you do for your clients. And I think that without membership, without us paying into these things, these departments wouldn't exist, right? So I just think that there should be a little bit more collaboration and looking at us as a very key component to them and to work with us. And if NAR can do it to keep all our information in a database, I think I empathize with the person that says, is there a way that we could keep our records to the point that you get on a portal and anyone in any state department that has authority to look at these things should make it easier for us because after all, we're paying for these memberships. I mean, and it's not a light cost. It's a heavy cost, especially when things aren't going the way the way the economic system has been going. It's not as pleasant as it used to be, and we're just trying to hang in there. I don't know. I could go on, but basically, if the commission can really look at the regulatory department can look at and licensing can look at this and look at our organization as a big powerhouse and to at least empathize and work with us a little bit more. Anyway.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you for your patience as we were going through questions there. So I'll turn it over if RLD staff has any final comments, and then we'll turn it over to Dan to close this out.
David, it's Melissa. Sorry, I had to come to another office because Amanda and my computer both went dark. Don't know what happened there. So I came into Kathleen's office. I just wanted to add to what Amanda was saying regarding, how can the community help us? I understand that some members of the community remember the Real Estate Commission when it was not attached to RLD. And I understand that now having to deal with the commission being administratively attached to RLD, that it's a different ballgame, that maybe some did not quite realize what that all entailed, even though that in fact happened in 2017, maybe. It has been quite some time that they have been administratively attached to us. But nonetheless, as I have said in board meetings in the past, it's RLD's goal to move forward with the real estate community. We can't keep looking at how things were done in the past. We have got to work together to do what is best for the real estate community and RLD. And it is, the priority of my leadership that we are able to work successfully and collaboratively with the community, because we, it's our job to make sure that the public is protected, and that is, that's what our ultimate goal is. And in doing that, in saying that, it's also our job to make sure that the licensing process flows as smooth as possible, that wherever we're having kinks in our system, whether it's on the education side, if it's on the licensing side, the compliance side, we are committed to making this work. There has been quite a lot of animosity in several of the meetings that have been held in the past. And I appreciate your association coming forward to help us to explain what has happened, what is happening, how do we clear up misconceptions, and how do we move forward. And I appreciate you providing us with that platform to be able to have these conversations, because the only way that we are going to be able to make it better is if there is open communication between all of us.
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa.
And can I just give a quick shout out to Melissa and Amanda specifically, because we have had them running around getting all their steps in, like I said, going between offices, and it really just demonstrates your commitment to this call and to this conversation today. So thank you so much for evading the technical difficulties there, and we really appreciate you.
Yes, and thank you to all our members who showed up to this call today. And like I said, we will have continued conversations. Please join us for our conference in August. And with that, I will turn it over to Dan to close us out.
All right. Thank you, David, Ari, all of our New Mexico Association Realtor staff. Without you guys, we couldn't do what we do. I'm very thankful for all of you. I'm very thankful for my leadership team and my board at NMAR. Everybody's working together for a better future. Really want to thank the New Mexico Real Estate Commission and Regulation and Licensing Department for being here today. I'm excited to have them again have a platform presentation at our annual conference coming up in Ruidoso in August. That's going to be great. If you've not yet registered for that, go to nmrealtor.com and do so, or call one of our wonderful staff members and they'll walk you through it. So thank you guys all for being here today. Thank you for being respectful. Thank you for the good questions and the good conversation. It's much appreciated. I hope everybody has a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in Ruidoso.
Thanks, everyone. Happy 4th of July.
Bye, all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.